The morning started like any other Tuesday in Riverside Heights, with the sun casting long shadows across the manicured lawns and the scent of fresh coffee drifting from kitchen windows. I had no idea that by noon, I'd be running for my life, from a woman wielding a garden hose like it was a weapon of mass destruction. My name is Marcus, and I've been delivering packages for Lightning Express for 3 years now. In that time, I've encountered angry dogs, suspicious neighbors, and even the occasional porch pirate trying to steal deliveries right in front of me. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared me for Karen Whitmore of 1247 Maple Street. It all began 2 weeks earlier when I'd delivered a package to her pristine colonial home. The box had been slightly dented during transport, nothing major, just a small crease on one corner. Most people would have shrugged it off, but not Karen. She'd called the company 17 times in 2 days, demanding compensation, a full refund, and my immediate termination. My supervisor, Dave, had laughed it off initially, but Karen's persistence was legendary. She'd somehow obtained his personal cell phone number and had been texting him pictures of the damaged box every hour on the hour. Just avoid her house, if you can, Dave had warned me last Friday, rubbing his temples as his phone buzzed with another Karen notification. Corporate says we might have to reassign her route to someone else. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The package I carried today was different, a large, clearly expensive electronics box addressed to K. Whitmore. The return address showed it was from a high-end camera equipment company, and the fragile stickers covered every surface like a patchwork quilt. My hands trembled slightly as I approached. Her house, the familiar knot of dread forming in my stomach. Karen's house stood out in the neighborhood like a museum exhibit. Every blade of grass was exactly the same height, every flower bed maintained to botanical garden standards. Her car, a pristine white BMW, sat in the driveway without a single speck of dust. Even her mailbox gleamed as if it had been polished that morning. I took a deep breath and approached the front door, hoping against hope that she wouldn't be home. The doorbell chimed with an elaborate melody that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Within seconds, I heard the click-clack-e of heels on hardwood floors, growing louder and more ominous with each step. The door swung open, and there she was. Karen Whitmore in all her terrifying glory. Blonde hair pulled back in a severe bun, makeup applied with surgical precision, and eyes that could freeze hell itself. She wore a crisp white blouse and perfectly pressed khakis, looking like she was ready for a corporate board meeting rather than a casual Tuesday at home. "You," she said, her voice dripping with the kind of disdain usually reserved for discovering something unpleasant stuck to your shoe. "I specifically requested that you not be the one delivering my packages." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm just following my assigned route." "Don't ma'am me," she snapped, her manicured finger jabbing toward my chest. "I know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to damage my property again, aren't you? Well, I won't stand for it this time." I glanced down at the package in my hands, checking it once more for any signs of damage. It looked perfect. Not even a scratch on the pristine cardboard surface. "The package appears to be in excellent condition." "Appears?" Her voice rose to a pitch that could shatter glass. "Appears? Do you think I'm stupid? I've been tracking this package since it left the warehouse. I know it's been mishandled. I can see the damage from here." I held the box up, turning it slowly so she could examine every angle. "I don't see any damage, Mrs. Whitmore. Would you like to inspect it yourself?" That's when her eyes narrowed to slits, and I realized I'd made a terrible mistake. The question had sounded reasonable in my head, but coming out of my mouth, it apparently sounded like a challenge. "Oh, you want me to inspect it?" she said, her voice now dangerously quiet. "You want me to find the damage you've caused so you can claim there isn't any? I see what's happening here. This is harassment. This is a conspiracy." Before I could respond, she'd snatched the package from my hands with surprising strength. She turned it over, examining every surface with the intensity of a forensic investigator. Her breathing became more labored with each passing second, and I could see a vein pulsing in her forehead. "There!" she shrieked, pointing to what appeared to be absolutely nothing on the corner of the box. "Right there! Can't you see it? The indentation, the slight discoloration. You've ruined it! I squinted at the spot she was indicating, genuinely trying to see whatever she was seeing. To me, it looked like a completely normal cardboard box, but Karen was now holding it like it contained broken glass. I don't see... Of course you don't see it. You people never see the damage you cause. Well, I'm not signing for this destroyed package, and you're not leaving my property until we get this sorted out. The situation was escalating rapidly, and I could feel sweat beading on my forehead despite the cool morning air. I pulled out my delivery device, hoping to salvage the situation through official channels. Let me contact my supervisor and see what we can do. No! Karen's voice reached a new octave that I didn't know human vocal cords could achieve. I'm not dealing with your supervisor anymore. He's part of this conspiracy too. I'm calling the police. She stormed back into her house, leaving me standing on her front porch with the contested package, feeling like I'd accidentally wandered into an alternate dimension where minor shipping inconveniences were federal crimes. Through the open door, I could hear her on the phone, her voice becoming increasingly hysterical as she explained to what I assumed was a very confused 911 operator that she was being terrorized by delivery personnel and that there was a clear pattern of property destruction and harassment. I should have left then. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to put the package down, walk back to my truck, and let Dave deal with the inevitable complaint. But something about the sheer injustice of the situation rooted me to the spot. I was being accused of damaging a package that was clearly perfect, being threatened with police involvement over what amounted to absolutely nothing. That's when I heard the water. The sound was subtle at first, just a gentle hissing that could have been anything. But as it grew louder, I realized what I was hearing was the unmistakable sound of water flowing through pipes and out of a nozzle. I turned toward the side of the house just in time to see Karen emerge from around the corner, dragging a garden hose behind her like she was leading a green python into battle. She'd changed clothes in record time and was now wearing what appeared to be waterproof gardening gear, rubber boots, a rain slicker, and even protective eyewear. "You want to damage my property?" she yelled, raising the hose nozzle like a weapon. "Let's see how you like having your property damaged." The first blast of water hit me square in the chest, soaking through my uniform shirt in seconds. The force was stronger than I'd expected, and I stumbled backward, nearly dropping my delivery device. "Mrs. Whitmore, please!" I gasped, trying to shield myself with the package. "This is assault! This is justice!" she screamed back, adjusting her aim to target my face. "You've been systematically destroying my deliveries for weeks. Well, now you get to see how it feels." The water was ice cold, clearly coming straight from her well system without any warming. Each blast felt like being hit with liquid icicles, and within moments I was soaked to the skin. My uniform clung to my body, my shoes squelched with every step, and my hair was plastered to my skull. I tried to reason with her, to explain that this was insane, that I hadn't damaged anything, but Karen was beyond reason. She'd entered some kind of vengeful trance, her eyes wide with the fervor of someone who believed they were fighting the good fight against the forces of evil. "The police are on their way," she announced between water blasts. "They're going to arrest you for destruction of property, harassment, and trespassing. But first, you're going to learn what it feels like to have your day ruined." That's when I realized she wasn't planning to let me leave. The way she'd positioned herself, she was blocking the most direct path back to my truck. Every time I tried to move toward the street, she'd redirect the water stream to cut off my escape route. She'd literally turned her front yard into a prison, with herself as the warden and her garden hose as the bars. My radio crackled to life, Dave's voice cutting through the chaos. "Marcus, you there? I'm getting some weird calls about—" "Dave!" I shouted into the device, trying to duck another water blast. "I need backup at 1247 Maple Street. The customer has gone completely insane." "What's your status?" Dave's voice was tight with concern. "She's attacking me with a garden hose. She won't let me leave." There was a long pause before Dave responded. "Did you just say she's attacking you with a garden hose?" "Yes! Send help!" Karen had heard my radio conversation, and it only seemed to fuel her fury. "Calling for reinforcements?" she taunted, increasing the water pressure. "Well, they'll find you exactly where you belong, soaking wet and humiliated." The situation had moved far beyond absurd and was now genuinely frightening. Karen's behavior was completely unhinged, and I was starting to wonder if she might escalate to something even more dangerous than water torture. I needed to get out of there, but what I didn't know as I sat dripping in that park was that Karen Whitmore wasn't just any ordinary neighborhood menace. She was about to become the catalyst for the most extraordinary day of my life, and her water attack was just the opening act of a drama that would change everything I thought I knew about my quiet delivery job. My phone rang before I could finish texting Dave back. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize, but something told me to answer it anyway. Marcus Chen? The voice was crisp, professional, with a slight accent I couldn't place. Yes, this is Marcus. Who is this? My name is Agent Sarah Rodriguez, FBI. I need you to listen very carefully and don't react visibly to what I'm about to tell you. You're currently being watched. I almost laughed out loud. After the morning I'd had, a prank call from someone claiming to be FBI seemed perfectly in character for this bizarre day. Right, and I'm the President of the United States. Look, if this is about Karen Whitmore, I can explain. Mr. Chen, I'm not calling about Mrs. Whitmore's complaint, though that incident has created some complications for us. I'm calling because the package you attempted to deliver to 1247 Maple Street this morning wasn't what it appeared to be. Something in her tone made me pause. There was an urgency there, a gravity that didn't match a prank call. What do you mean? The package contained surveillance equipment, specifically a high-end camera system with facial recognition capabilities. Mrs. Whitmore ordered it under her real name, but she's not Karen Whitmore, suburban homeowner. Her real name is Katerina Volkov, and she's a person of significant interest to several federal agencies. The world seemed to tilt slightly around me. I looked back toward Maple Street, suddenly seeing Karen's pristine house in a completely different light. You're serious? Dead serious. We've been monitoring her for 3 months, waiting for her to make contact with her associates. That camera system was the final piece of equipment she needed to set up a surveillance network across the city. Your delivery was supposed to complete her operation. But she didn't sign for it. She attacked me with a garden hose and I stopped, suddenly understanding. She was trying to keep me there. Not because she was crazy about package damage, but because she needed to delay the delivery until her associates could intercept you, yes. The water attack was meant to create a scene, keep you stationary and distracted while they moved into position. But your escape on that skateboard disrupted their timeline. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with my wet clothes. Are you saying I was in actual danger? More than you know. Look around the park carefully. Don't be obvious about it. Do you see a man in a dark sedan across the street? Gray hair, wearing sunglasses? I casually turned my head, pretending to stretch my neck. Sure enough, there was a dark car parked about 50 yards away with exactly the person Agent Rodriguez had described. My heart rate spiked. I see him. He's been following you since you left Maple Street. There's another vehicle positioned at the park's north entrance, a white van with tinted windows. They're waiting for instructions from Volkov on how to proceed. The skateboard suddenly felt less like a fun toy and more like a lifeline. What do they want? The package, obviously, but also you. You've seen their operation, you can identify Volkov, and you've inadvertently become a witness to their surveillance setup. In their world, loose ends like you don't stay loose for long. This is insane. I'm just a delivery driver. I don't know anything about surveillance networks or international, whatever this is. I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to stay calm and listen carefully. We've been trying to get evidence on Volkov's network for months, but she's been extremely careful. Today's events have given us an opportunity, but only if you're willing to help. Before I could respond, I noticed the man in the sedan was talking on his phone, and his posture had changed. He was no longer casually waiting. He was preparing for action. Agent Rodriguez, I think something's happening. We see it too. Marcus, I need you to get ready to move. In about 30 seconds, I'm going to create a distraction that will give you a window to escape. When I do, I want you to use that skateboard of yours to get to the corner of 5th and Main. There's a coffee shop called Brewer's Paradise. Go inside and ask for Miguel. Tell him Agent Rodriguez sent you for the Colombian blend. He'll know what that means. Wait, what kind of distraction? And how do you know about my skateboard? We've been monitoring you since yesterday, trying to figure out the best way to make contact. Your skateboard caught our attention. It's faster than most of our surveillance. Vehicles in urban traffic. As for the distraction, suddenly the quiet morning was shattered by the sound of police sirens converging from multiple directions. But these weren't heading toward Karen's house. They were surrounding the park. Those aren't real police units, Agent Rodriguez said quickly. Volkov's people have been known to use fake emergency vehicles. This is your chance. Go now. I didn't need to be told twice. I dropped the phone, kicked off from the bench, and hit the skateboard's acceleration trigger. The board shot forward like a rocket, carrying me across the park's central plaza as chaos erupted behind me. The man in the sedan was out of his car, now shouting into his radio, while the white van had started moving toward the park's entrance. But I was already weaving between trees and park benches, using paths and shortcuts that no car could follow. The skateboard's all-terrain wheels handled the transition from concrete to grass to gravel without missing a beat. I carved around a playground, jumped a small set of steps, and shot out of the park's east exit just as the fake police cars were converging on where I'd been sitting. 5th and Main was 6 blocks away, but with the skateboard's speed and my knowledge of the city's shortcuts, I could be there in minutes. I took a winding route through residential streets, using alleys and bike paths to avoid main roads where vehicles could easily track me. As I rode, my mind raced faster than my board. Everything about this morning suddenly made sense in a terrifying way. Katerina's obsession with package condition, her surveillance of delivery schedules, her perfectly maintained house that probably contained enough surveillance equipment to monitor half the city. I thought about all the other deliveries I'd made to her house over the past few months. Had I been unknowingly supplying a spy network? Were there other packages, other deliveries that I'd thought were just normal suburban purchases? Brewer's Paradise turned out to be a small, cozy coffee shop tucked between a bookstore and a vintage clothing boutique. The kind of place where local artists displayed their work and the baristas knew everyone's order by heart. It seemed impossibly normal after the morning's revelations. I parked the skateboard outside and tried to compose myself before walking in. My clothes were still damp, my hair was a mess, and I probably looked like I'd escaped from a mental institution. The shop was busy with the usual crowd of remote workers and students, everyone absorbed in their laptops and conversations. I approached the counter where a young man with intricate tattoos covering both arms was operating an espresso machine that looked like it belonged in a NASA laboratory. "Excuse me, are you Miguel?" He looked up, taking in my disheveled appearance with practiced calm. "Depends who's asking. Agent Rodriguez sent me for the Colombian blend." Miguel's expression shifted instantly from casual barista to something much more alert and professional. He glanced around the shop, then leaned closer. "Follow me." He led me through a door marked Employees Only into what appeared to be a standard coffee shop storage room, bags of beans, commercial refrigerators, cleaning supplies. But Miguel walked to the back wall and pressed a section of what looked like ordinary wood paneling. A hidden door swung open, revealing a staircase leading down. "This is either really cool or really terrifying," I muttered as I followed him down the stairs. "Little bit of both," Miguel replied. "Agent Rodriguez is waiting for you." The basement was nothing like the cozy coffee shop above. It looked like a high-tech command center with multiple computer screens, communication equipment, and what appeared to be a detailed map of the city covered in colored pins and connecting strings. Agent Rodriguez turned out to be a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She was smaller than her voice had suggested, but there was an intensity about her that made her seem larger than life. "Marcus, thank you for coming. I know this is a lot to process. Lady, you have no idea. This morning I was worried about my truck making weird noises, and now I'm apparently in the middle of some kind of spy movie. I wish it were that simple. Miguel, bring up the surveillance footage from Maple Street." One of the large screens flickered to life, showing aerial footage of Katerina's house. But this wasn't just any surveillance footage. I could see heat signatures, movement patterns, and what appeared to be a detailed layout of the property's interior. We've been watching Volkov for months, but we needed evidence of her communications with her network. The camera system you were delivering would have completed her surveillance grid, allowing her to monitor law enforcement, movements and coordinate activities across the city. What kind of activities? Agent Rodriguez exchanged a glance with Miguel before a